Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Pull up a chair and kick up your feet as you get ready to enjoy some of the industry's most entertaining and actionable Dynasty content on the planet. We're talking veterans, rookies, sleepers, and oh yeah, you know the crew has those dad jokes ready for you. So let's not wait any longer and bring on the host or some combination of Doug, James, and Tyler.
Hey, look at us, just a couple of goons on a Sunday night talking about fantasy football. Let's go. First of all, it's been a fun weekend. The intro's rolling. There, fade us out, Tyler. There we go. We need some work on that. Hey, we are here on the Dynasty Happy Hour. It's me, your host, Doug Eddy. I'm here with my co-host, Tyler Gunther. Just the two of us. James taking the week off. Corey taking the week off. It's a two-man box. We're like an announcing booth over here. I'll be Joe Buck. You can be Troy Aikman. How you want to do that? I'll be John Madden. You can be Pat Summerall.
I like that. I like that duo better. I mean,
boom,
boom! It's a popcorn pop.
Oh boy, I need some turducken. Boom. Speaking of turducken, Tyler, how the hell was your Thanksgiving, my friend?
It was good. A lot of family, but a lot of sick kids. Yeah, I mean, it went right down the line. Started off with my son a little bit, but then my daughter got it. She was gone. She was at home all week from Monday till today, and then my youngest got it Wednesday. Like, we're in the clear. My oldest was getting healthier, and then all of a sudden Wednesday evening hit, and boom, youngest got it. My wife wasn't able to attend one of the Thanksgivings, and then Saturday came, and I was the only one attending my family, so it was a hard weekend for my wife.
It was a very disjointed Thanksgiving.
Yes, it was, as all holidays are when you have kids. It just seems like right when the holidays run around, right when Halloween hits, it's like, oh, Halloween, you got one kid sick. Thanksgiving, two probably. Christmas comes, it's usually one or two again, and then New Year's Eve, one of them usually comes down with something. So yeah, it's common.
Fun. I did not have any sick kids. I just went to my wife's aunt's house about 20 minutes from here, had a nice little Thanksgiving. Had some apple pie, had some pumpkin pie. I did not have any humble pie like Zach Wilson had this week, though. He had a big old serving of humble pie, and we'll talk a little bit about that coming up. But before we do, I want to tell you who we're sponsored by today, and it is our awesome sponsor, Manscaped. That's right. You know that proper grooming requires precision-engineered tools. Once you're down there, you don't want to be careless and fun and fancy-free. You want to take your time. You want to do it right. It's a sensitive area. Your hygiene demands it. Precision requires it. Manscaped has the right tools for the job. Skin-safe technology. You're not going to cut yourself up and you know when you were like a teenager and you learned how to shave and you put those little pieces of tissue paper on all your little cuts. Yeah, you're not going to have to worry about that. The skin-safe technology is awesome. It's waterproof. You want to use it in the shower, have at it. There's a nifty LED light if you're looking for more of a challenge with the lights off. Like, hey, you do you. I'm not going to judge. Has a wireless charger. The Weed Whacker nose and ear trimmer is new with the Lawnmower 4.0. Again, we see it every week. Ear hair, nose hair. Yeah, I'm 44. It happens. Just saying the Weed Whacker is a godsend. And then after all that, you've trimmed up. You're looking great. You're feeling great. What else do you want to do? You probably want to smell great, right? So use the crop preserver, the crop cleanser, the crop reviver. Crop everything. And stop what you're doing and get all this stuff. It's all in one package. You can go on to manscaped.com, use code DHH for a hearty 20% off at checkout. Manscaped, your balls, you know what they're going to do? They're going to look up at you and they're going to go, thanks, man. I appreciate you.
And you'll be able to see them because it clears it.
Exactly. You know,
you'll
it's
be able
like
to look them in the eyes.
You'll feel like Jesse Ventura in The Predator when he's got his minigun and he's just shaving down the forest. And you're like, oh, this is a nice little clear area. Whoa. It's going to be like that. Whoa, look at this gun I got, Arnold. It's amazing. Yeah, it's going to be just like that. It's going to be amazing. So, Tyler, we're going to do a little bit of different format. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We'll get back to our normal format next week. Tyler's like, let's just go game by game. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. We can do that. So we're going a little throwback, but we're going to hit everything on every game this week. And we are going to start with Turkey Day. This Turkey Day was a fun day of games. Like, usually Thursday night football or Thursday footballs in general kind of sucked. Like, Amazon's kind of got a raw deal with some of these crappy games. But no. They can't be Mutombo. Great games on Thursday. Let's start with the first one. It was the Bills versus the Lions. Bills are on the road. They spent an extra week in Detroit, the beautiful city of Detroit. They came back and won 28-25. The Lions They were riding a 3-game win streak. They were right up there with the Bills this week. Jared Goff had a nice game, but the thing that I extrapolated from this game was that Amon-Ra St. Brown's floor is silly high. And when he's healthy, like he has been in the last few weeks, he's going to get you double-digit targets every single game, and that is like gold in the fantasy community, especially now that we've missed out on guys like Cooper Kupp who are getting a ton of work. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a wide receiver 1 the rest of the way. Tyler, where would you have him if we're doing a startup today? Where would you put Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver?
I would probably say fringe top 12, like 12, 13, 14, around there. I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of receivers. I've come to realize, like, there are plenty of receivers to go around in Dynasty. Now, would you have him around T. Higgins? Because don't forget, Amon-Ra St. Brown was wide receiver 4 at one point this season. And T. Higgins is proving that when Jamar Chase is out, he can be a 1. But where would you have those two? I want to kind of put them side by side.
I think T. Higgins on a week-to-week probably has a little bit of a higher ceiling because of his explosive plays. Amon-Ra had some explosive plays last year, but we haven't really seen it this year. But I don't know if that's because of lingering ankle injury. But, I mean, the floor of Amon-Ra and the targets, I mean, it's great what T. Higgins is doing without Chase. We saw what he did with Chase last year.
Yeah.
And that was great. Ooh, this is tough because T. Higgins is one of my favorite Dynasty assets. I just traded for him this week, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. But I would probably give T. Higgins I'd probably go T. Higgins. Just it's really, really razor's edge, but I'd probably go with Higgins.
The thing with me is we've seen Higgins with Chase. We've seen him succeed. We have not seen Amon-Ra St. Brown with Jameson Williams, who they traded up to get, and to see where the target share goes. I think if they would have won this game, he was for sure playing next week. But the fact that they did lose, I think we might maybe see him eased in again. But with the fact that like this NFC North division sucks, especially if the Packers fall on their face again tonight. Yeah, it's a pretty rough division. My questioning is DeAndre Swift. What happens next season with him? He said he wasn't going to be completely healthy, but to me, if he's out there playing and he looks healthy, he should be getting more touches, but he's not.
It should be like week 1, like when he was healthy and he was good to go and he was explosive and he was popping off. Like we want to see DeAndre Swift use like the Saints have always used Alvin Kamara. He's got that skill set.
Well, not nowadays, Alvin Kamara. We don't want that.
Not with 2 less fumbles and 4 points for fantasy.
Yeah.
No, you don't want that. Yeah, very gross.
Amon-Ra is definitely a volume receiver, which we all love in PPR.
Yeah, exactly. On the Buffalo Bills side, not too much to take. It was pretty much Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. The thing is, you knew if you rostered Gabe Davis, he wasn't going to be consistent. And I know during the summer, the steady drumbeat for Gabriel Davis was out of control in the Twitter streets. It was one of the craziest things you've ever seen. And we've seen him pop off and have some huge games, 3 touchdowns, 150 yards. And then he's had some dud games. He is that boomer bust play. Like, to me, I wouldn't even rank him as a wide receiver 2 because of that. He's more like a wide receiver 3 with upside every week. I wasn't all about going and trying to acquire Gabe Davis in the offseason. To me, it was just too much recency bias with the Chiefs playoff game with the 4 touchdowns and this, that, and the other thing. Now you've got the Bills supposedly looking at Odell Beckham Jr. possibly.
If he can get off the plane.
Oh, yeah. Isaiah McKenzie got 10 targets this week. It's going to be one of those things. It's going to be Knox last week, McKenzie this week. Is it Gabe Davis next week? We don't have to worry about Diggs. He's going to get his. I don't know. But the Bills, it's going to be one of those things. It's a Russian roulette situation with anyone but Allen and Diggs. And even the backfield. Like we saw James Cook get some momentum last week. And then this week was kind of like a fart noise, right? He didn't do too much. Singletary looks good. But, Bills are an interesting one to follow.
And the thing with Gabe Davis is he reminds me of a poor man, a very poor man's Tyreek Hill when he's with the Chiefs. Tyreek would have like 8-point games here and there. And then you'd have that huge 40-point game where it would just win you the week.
He only had 2 100-yard games last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like Tyreek with Miami is definitely better for fantasy. But,
yeah,
I mean, Gabe Davis is kind of down that same path. And if you have him, you've got to start him. But as a wide receiver 3, I love it because he's one of those guys that can definitely win you a week.
Tyler, if you're a win now team, are you going out and trying to acquire Jamal Williams on the cheap?
No.
Okay. I know a lot of people want to make that move because he's got 13 rushing touchdowns, but yeah.
This offensive line is awesome. Like, they push people around, they bully people. But yeah, this is a 1-year type thing. If you're trading a second for Jamal Williams, you are losing value instantly. It's like a brand new car. You pull it right out of that lot, you're going to lose all the value. So yeah, it's tough.
100%. All right, let's move on to the Cowboys against the Giants. This game wasn't as close as the final box score says. Giants scored a late touchdown to Richie James here in this game. I think the story in this one is, everyone was on Pollard, right? He's been the hot hand. He's been like the RB1 over the last 2 weeks. And then Zeke comes back from his injury and looks really good, goes 16 for 92 and a touchdown. And Pollard really didn't do much at all. They didn't use him in the passing game like they did weeks prior. He didn't do much on the ground. So that was really interesting to watch. But for me, it was all about CeeDee Lamb has now shown me consistency. And I think that, CeeDee Lamb was the wide receiver 3 in Dynasty startups in the offseason. He slipped a little bit since the season started, but Lamb is really asserting himself, making spectacular catches, being a target hog in that offense. I don't think it changes even if they get Odell Beckham Jr. as a free agent. Michael Gallup had a strong game here, which was nice to see with some really nice catches. But CeeDee Lamb, to me, is asserting himself as an alpha receiver for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, he's a top 5 receiver in Dynasty, and that's where he should be. Yeah, he's going to have a couple weeks where he gets EA points, but he's one of those guys that's going to get targets. He's going to be the alpha there for a while. They're going to re-sign him, and then, if they bring in Odell Beckham, I'm not worried about it. But once again, he's got to get off that plane.
Yeah, very interesting situation. Now, for the Giants, obviously their wide receiver core is decimated. Darius Slayton's been a nice story. If you picked him up in a league, he's been startable because of the targets. And then Barkley, we know Barkley's going to Barkley. I don't really have too much to say.
Yeah, he's fine. He's kind of fallen off a little bit, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, and let's be honest. In games that the Giants are going to be down in, unless the passing game goes through Barkley, which it didn't here, he may struggle in some of those games. He's not going to run the ball 25 times if they're from behind. So that's obviously something to keep an eye on as we go forward. Now let's get to the game of the day. This was a wild one. It was Tyler's Vikings versus my Patriots. Personally, I think the Patriots got jobbed from the officials in this one more than once, but I'm not going to cry about it. I want to talk about McCorkle Jones, who for 2 straight weeks now has looked very, very good. He's been getting healthier off that high ankle sprain. He doesn't have a ton of huge weapons on that team, but he went 28-39, 382 and 2. He took some bad sacks. The line is beat up. They're missing David Andrews and Isaiah Wynn. But I really liked what I saw out of Mac Jones. And the other thing for the Patriots, I don't care about anything else for the Patriots right now. It's all about Ramondre Stevenson. Damian Harris went down with a thigh injury. He was seen on crutches after the game. I assume he's going to miss some time because he's been dinged up in this last month or so. Ramondre, 9 receptions. He is killing it. He's an RB1 going forward, without a doubt in my mind. I heard someone on a podcast, I'm not going to say who, was talking about Ramondre, and the co-host said, "Oh, would you offer a second plus for Ramondre Stevenson?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course." You're not going to get Ramondre Stevenson to anything less than a first of all. So that would be my advice if you're going to trade for Ramondre. They were like, "Oh, buy Ramondre now." And I'm like, that window's closed. You can't get Ramondre for a second plus. You have to spend a first to get Ramondre.
Yeah, no, I actually, in UDPL, in a league we're both in, I sold Ramondre to Garrett Price from Dynasty Nerds, and I got a
Harris,
first.
Right?
Yeah, I got a first. It was for both. But I didn't value Harris like a lot of people were. I thought, he's a grinder. I'm not sure he's going to sign for big money. And Ramondre was the prize. I tried trading Ramondre straight up for a first. Nobody wanted it. But this is before the breakout. So now I could have gotten way more value. But all I was looking for was a first. And I'm still happy with it because it is a running back. But Ramondre for the next 2 years should smash just like he is now. And Mac Jones, if you can trade a first-round pick, we talked about it last week. Mm-hmm. People were fading Mac Jones. If you can trade a first-round pick for Mac Jones, I think I would do that every day because this quarterback class for next year keeps getting worse and worse. I mean, C.J. Stroud looked like dog. crap. And
He's an Ohio State quarterback. No offense to Justin Fields.
And Bryce Young's tiny. Like these are the facts. It's Will Levis if you think he's going to be Josh Allen, and like CJ Stroud if you want him to be this robotic. He better be in the right system type quarterback, and Bryce Young better be Kyler Murray 2.0. Like there's a lot of hopes in this quarterback class, but if I can give up a first for Mac Jones, I would do that.
So now I have a question for you. Same game. Would you trade Dalvin Cook straight up for Ramondre Stevenson?
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's a smash for you.
That is easy. Dalvin Cook's getting volume, which is fine. But Ramondre also has 3 years. He's 3 years younger. So you're getting the extra 3 years. I think Bill's going to roll with Ramondre. Like
loves.
I was just about to say that. Like Ramondre.
So I know they talked about it on the telecast, but this is all you hear on the sports radio here is that Belichick loves Ramondre.
Which is nuts because Ramondre was a troubled player in Oklahoma. Like that's all you heard about was he had trouble off the field.
You didn't know about his pass catching.
Yeah. And now look at him. Like he's in he pretty much put all of his chips. He's got the Corey
Dillon and James White role all in one.
He put all the chips into himself in this Bill Belichick way, and he's buying in, which is if you can do that in this system, you're going to succeed, and he's doing it.
Yeah. From this game, we obviously know that Justin Jefferson is just amazing. He set the record for most receiving yards in his first 3 seasons with, another like 7 games to go. 9 for 139 and a touchdown. Dude's unstoppable. Yeah. He's the 101 in startups. I don't care. Even Superflex to me, like
Superflex, he's right after he's right after the big 3 quarterbacks. Like
is the third one Herbert?
Yeah.
Okay.
Josh Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, then Jefferson. That's the list.
I'd probably take Jefferson over Herbert.
But Doug, haven't you heard Bijan Robinson is the 101 of running backs already?
Have a Bijan Frise. Yes, I've heard of that. And then Hawkinson, another great target share. He scored in this one. His pace. I mean, he's getting a ton of targets in this offense. So obviously, if you had T.J. Hawkinson and he was kind of middling in Detroit, other than that huge game that he had, you're smiling because tight end sucks. And Hawkinson's getting the volume in a good offense. So definitely wheels up for Hawk going forward.
He feels like he's going to re-sign here, and he'll be a Viking for a while.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some of the Sunday games here. I want to start with the Browns and the Bucks. Browns mount an epic comeback. Good for Jacoby Brissett, right? Like this is probably going to be his last start with Deshaun Watson coming back next week. And if you have Deshaun Watson on your rosters and Superflex, you're probably going to start him unless like you have a really good quarterback situation, which I have him in, and I have like 10 quarterbacks on that roster, and I'm starting him.
He's not joking. You've literally got 10 quarterbacks on that roster.
It's true. It might be Deshaun Watson and Mike White next week. We'll see. But yeah, the Browns win 23-17. Leonard Fournette was ruled out of this one, so it was all Rachaad White, and he didn't disappoint from a fantasy perspective, even though he didn't score. He got you 15 points, which was great. The big takeaway for this one and me, someone on Twitter asked earlier in one of the DM groups that we're in, mid to late second or Chris Godwin. And I'm like, Chris Godwin. And this was before the game. And I'm like, yeah, Chris Godwin, because I think Chris Godwin is one of the best receivers in the league. And he popped off today. 12 receptions, 110 yards. He scored for his second week in a row. Mike Evans had a quiet game, but it was all Godwin in this passing game. He had half the yardage of Tom Brady this week. And Rachaad White looked really, really good. And of course, Njoku scored. You know that I love that, right?
Game tying, insane one-hand catch,
just back like the end zone,
just like Njoku does.
Yeah, he's so good. Tyler, what did you think about Rachaad White today?
I
know you haven't liked him.
I haven't. I have him in a couple leagues.
He runs two up right. He didn't look up right today.
That his lateral ability wasn't great, but once he's in open space, he's a great runner, which is what they're using him in. They're getting him screen passes. They're using him in the passing game, which is what gets you points. 9 catches for 45 yards. That in itself is 13 points.
Yeah,
13 points just from that, and then he gets you 14 for 64 on the ground. Yeah, that's awesome. I thought Keyshawn Vaughn would get a little more involved. He did not, but yeah. He's the future there. Yeah, he's an older player. He'll be 24 already next year.
Oh, my God. He should just retire.
But you know what? For running backs, I'm starting to realize who cares? Because they're going to use them for 3 years, and then you're done.
They're disposable. They're like dude wipes. You just use them and then just throw them away.
Pretty much. Hey, dude wipes, call us. We'll sponsor you. But yeah, it was good to see. Like I said, I'm not a massive fan of him because he's kind of a gets hit once, falls over, but he showed me a little bit. Like I said,
he's no Ken Walker, is what you're saying.
I have him in one league where I just threw him up because I don't know if I'm going to make the playoffs. I've won like 3 straight because of him, because I've got a running back now, and I have him and Samaje Perine in. So
very nice. I thought Nick Chubb had a nice game here, just kind of grinding it out. 26 carries for 116 in a really tough matchup. And then Amari Cooper continues. I mean, he had a egregious drop, but then made up for it with a long play at the end of the game. But Amari Cooper, it's going to be really fun. He's been really good with Jacoby Brissett. It's going to be fun to see him and Donovan Peoples-Jones, to see what they do with Deshaun Watson back next week. So I'm looking forward to that. And David Bell had some catches today. So I like that too, because I like David Bell quite a bit. All right, let's move on to the Bengals at the Titans. This was a pretty boring game for most of it. The Bengals end up winning 20-16. Treylon Burks scores his first touchdown, but it wasn't rushing. It wasn't receiving. It was a Derrick Henry fumble into the end zone that Burks, showing maximum effort following the play and ends up falling on it, which is always a good sign for a rookie, especially as Mike Vrabel is the coach, because we know Vrabel's a Belichick guy. He's going to love to see that effort. So Burks falls in the touchdown. He had a nice little game here as the number 1 pass catcher for the Titans. And then for the Bengals, Perine, he starts for Joe Mixon, who is out because of the concussion protocol. Tyler Boyd got dinged up in this game, but he did come back in as they checked him out for a concussion. But the passing game was really all T. Higgins today. It was 7 receptions for 114 and a touchdown. He's that alpha profile. We talked a little bit about T earlier. I love him. He's awesome.
He's so good.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that the Titans is, if you can shut down Derrick Henry, chances are you're going to beat the Titans, right?
Yeah, so they're pretty much saying, hey, we can't run Derrick Henry. He went 17 for 38. So let's throw him the ball. And then, like you said, he fumbled. I was just about to bring that up. If all 3 of us were in, he was going to be one of my players I was going to highlight, because he was blocking all the way down the field. That's why he was down there. He was still blocking, and he ran to get the touchdown. I started Burks in a league. I have him, off a taxi in a couple other leagues. The time to buy was weeks ago.
When he was hurt.
Time to buy was off season. I mean, we've been trying to tell you all off season, hey, fade the noise, just like Jamar Chase. But here he is, building a chemistry with Ryan Tannehill, and each week getting better and better. He's going to keep building off this, and I would not be shocked if by the end of the season he is a top 20 dynasty asset at receiver. And the future is really bright for him. He's shown a lot. Hey, he may not be able to run a full route tree, but if you can go up and get the ball like he did today, that's all you need.
Mm-hmm. And my boy Chigakwanko out-targeted Austin Hooper. It's coming, man. I'm telling you.
He had a couple drops, but there was one play where if he didn't drop it, he was gone.
Yeah, he's athletic AF, guys. Always chase the athleticism at tight end. Austin Hooper's probably not going to be there. Chigakwanko is the guy that you want. Get him as a throw-in your deals right now, and thank me later, especially in tight end.
Austin Hooper is still running off the field after the game. He's still they're still trying to help him off the field. Do
you remember that? I know you remember.
Yes, I obviously.
That long dad run play.
It was week 1 when everybody is all hyped about Austin Hooper breakout.
It was against the Bears, right?
I think he still is running that play as well. That was. People are like, oh, it's Jason Witten.
I was going to say, that's like the ultimate tribute. Like, if they retire, they put him in the Ring of Honor, they're going to tribute Jason Witten and just show him that Austin Hooper play, and he'll, start to cry.
Jason Witten is faster than, if they put them side by side, people are like, damn, Jason Witten must be one of those athletic freaks like David Njoku.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Dolphins-Texans. This game was interesting because the Dolphins were absolutely destroying the Texans here, 30-0. The Texans kind of crawl back a little bit, and they score 15 points. Kyle Allen got the start. There wasn't, the biggest thing for the Texans side of the ball that kind of shocked everyone, the last 2 weeks of Dameon Pierce, 15 carries, 17 yards, I think. Ouch. You're obviously riding the high of Pierce looking like an RB1. He was popping off. He was breaking out. It's been a couple of rough weeks for Pierce. On the injury news, Jeff Wilson left the game with a really weird, maybe a double leg strain or something. Tyreek Hill pulled him off the field as he was sitting down.
He looked like a dog on the carpet.
He was wiping his. I've never seen it. So Jeff Wilson leaves the game. He's gone. Tyreek Hill left the game because of cramps. I assume that he'll be fine. He led the team in receiving at 85 yards. Mike Gesicki with a donut today. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Tua still looked good. Almost 300 yards at the half.
Almost got bent in half.
He almost did get bent in half.
When I saw that, I was like, yeah, those 2 hits that he took, and I'm like, he's done. That's it.
Yeah. And then they put him out there in the third quarter, and I'm like, it needs to be Skylar Thompson time. And then they don't do anything the rest of the game. But I don't really have too much about this one, Tyler. It was pretty standard stuff.
Yeah. Jalen Waddle, top 5 Dynasty wide receiver.
Ooh, I don't have him that high.
I think I'd put him right around 5 or 6.
I'd really
let's do that. Okay, we got Jefferson, Chase, Lamb. Who else we got?
You think people still value Cup like that?
No, I wouldn't say Cup, right. Especially with the injury. I'm telling you, I think maybe Tyreek and Waddle side by side, back to back, 5 and 6.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, I think Waddle's top 5. T. Higgins is creeping up there, and honestly, these Garrett Wilson, we'll talk about him. He could be creeping up in the top 10. Any other rookies from this class? We haven't really hit that yet, but yeah, I think Waddle would be there.
I agree with you. All right, let's keep it moving to the next game. This one is a fun one. The Jets. We talked about Zach Wilson eating that humble pie. He watched the game on the sideline and watched his New York Jets score 31 points against the Chicago Bears.
This so much.
Justin Fields was ruled out with that shoulder injury, so Trevor Siemian got the start, and then he didn't get the start, and then it was Nate Peterman, and then it was Trevor Siemian again. I didn't think Trevor Siemian looked bad in this game. The big news for the Bears outside of the Fields injury was it looks like Darnell Mooney is going to be lost for the season with an ankle injury, which sucks.
Yeah.
So it should be just Chase Claypool and whatever Dante Pettis, Equinemius St. Brown, and Cole Kmet you want to throw in there going forward. David Montgomery had a nice day, 14 for 79, and he had 30 through the air, which was nice. But it was all about the Jets. Mike White came in, 22 of 28, efficient, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Garrett Wilson was the biggest benefactor at 5 for 95 and 2. And we saw the rise of Elijah Moore come back. And
he looked happy.
He scored a touchdown, which was great. But that second Garrett Wilson touchdown, when he dead-legged that defender.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh, also, Michael Carter got hurt with an ankle injury. We don't know the severity yet.
I've heard it's bad.
I would say this. Go pick up Zonovan Knight in your Dynasty leagues. He's probably not rostered. I know the Jets really talked about this kid, that they loved him in the offseason and the preseason. I actually took that information and put him on a couple taxis. So if you're not in leagues with me, go pick up Zonovan Knight. He played a pretty big role in this one. And then it's really just him and Ty Johnson if Michael Carter's hurt. James Robinson was a healthy scratch, which was a little weird. So keep an eye on that as well. But I know you want to talk about Garrett Wilson, so go ahead and do that.
Actually, I want to talk about Zach Wilson and just how much of a gut punch this is to that kid. I get he's a young kid, but he's done nothing to help himself. And everything, all of his hype and stuff has been based off of, off the field. Oh, he did stuff with somebody's mom, his mom's friend. Now everybody loves him. That was weird to me. He didn't throw a nice ball in college. He's not throwing a nice ball in the pros. He's very inaccurate, and it showed. You know who was accurate? Mike White, 22 for 28, 315 yards, and 3 touchdowns to Garrett Wilson. Yeah, that dead leg was nasty. I think they're still digging up that defender out of the ground in Jet Stadium.
And that wasn't even Eddie Jackson got hurt on that play, but he wasn't even the one that got dead legged.
Yeah, that's the thing. Garrett Wilson, they're talking about how Olave's smooth. Garrett Wilson is not smooth, but he's kind of almost like a frantic route runner, but it works in his favor. So that's why he's such a
jerky.
Yeah, that's why he's such a good route runner. And he reminded me so much of Justin Jefferson the way he runs routes, because he's lanky, he's long, and just the way he moves his body and kind of gets a defender to bite on one route and then goes the other way. That's what Garrett Wilson does. And I saw tons of Justin Jefferson and Garrett Wilson today, and I think the future is just going to keep getting brighter for this kid. Yeah, the Jets don't have a early pick to take a quarterback, but hey,
maybe they trade for one.
Jimmy G, who we'll get to, did not look great.
Rodgers.
Don't want him. I mean,
I'd want him with these pieces around him for sure.
That's so true. And so for me, I love this offense. Hey, you know what? This ain't working. Let's go. Let's try something else. Mike White, Who knows how long this is going to last, how long this light's going to
It's just weird
burn.
that the offense really hums with Mike White and Joe Flacco, but not.
It's almost like he hangs onto the ball too long,
much with
moves
Zach Wilson.
around outside the pocket, and
Weird.
then when he throws it outside the pocket, it's inaccurate, and he leaves his receivers dead in the water. He pretty much throws them into safety.
Hospital balls. Here you go.
But yeah, Garrett Wilson for me is a top 10 dynasty wide receiver.
Yes. Shout out to Trevor Siemian for looking decent in a start.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Looks better than Russell Wilson.
Oh, my God. We'll get there. All right, let's talk about your Falcons and the Commanders. Commanders win this one 19-13. Real barn burner here. Rainy day there in Maryland.
Yeah.
They don't even play in Washington. Mariota did some nice things on the ground. Brian Robinson got his first 100 yard rushing day, and also told us that his friends make big hats, apparently. Coach took on that on Twitter. It was ridiculous. The thing with the Falcons, Patterson I thought played well, but they just need some pass catchers, man. Like Drake London, frustrating still.
They need Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Zacchaeus leads the way with 5 for 91. Washington, really none of their pass catchers did anything. McLaurin was quiet. Dotson, Samuel, Diami Brown had a long reception, and Logan Tom. Really, this game was not good for pass catchers at all. Tyler, what do you got from this one? Because this one was kind of a bleh.
Yeah, it was tough. Mariota missed a lot of throws.
Yeah.
It was very rainy, but there was throws where I'm like, come on. Like the Drake London throw, London could add 20 more yards on that run after the catch if he would have thrown it up. London literally had to go down and get it. Mariota, I don't think he's the future. I would love for them to take a pass catcher in this draft. Like Jordan Addison would look perfect on this team, the guy from USC.
Yep.
Falcons should be picking in the teens, so that'd be a perfect pick. I don't know if they should go quarterback. Mariota would not be bad to go another year and then throw in Ritter next year. Maybe week 4, Mariota, you're kind of realizing might not be the future, and then Ritter comes in. Sit the quarterback, a guy who's won, a guy who can make clutch throws when he needs to. That's the route I would love for them to take. I hope they don't draft a quarterback in this class. Maybe next year if you're falling apart, 2024. But yeah, I like the Falcons, the way they're building things. That defense is fast, it's quick. The linebackers are all over the place. And A.J. Terrell's finally healthy. He had a very nice interception as well. But going to the Commander side, Brian Robinson, 100-yard running. Yeah, you're going against one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. I'm not. If you can sell right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
I'm out. And I was really hoping that when Dotson came back, he would actually become more involved.
Yeah, one target.
He needs Carson Wentz, apparently. And that's
Maybe.
gross. That's gross to say. Heineke did not look great today at all. I mean, if Mariota's outplaying you, that's gross.
Sam Howell. Bring in Sam
Yes,
Howell.
we could use Sam Howell. But yeah, I think right now, Jahan Dotson could be one of the biggest buys in Dynasty because I do think he's very talented.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like Dotson quite a bit. All right, let's get into the next game. Broncos country.
Do we have to?
Let's not ride because you're trash.
God.
The Panthers win 23-10 easily with the first start under Sam Darnold this year. Darnold didn't have to do a lot. 11-19, 164 and a touchdown. Had a couple of beautiful throws to DJ Moore.
Yes.
DJ Moore scored his 4th touchdown of the season, so he's done for the year. He only scores 4 touchdowns. He is done for the year. Don't expect another touchdown from DJ Moore. He is consistent. He'll have 1,100 yards and only 4 touchdowns. He's done. For the Panthers, it was a split between Chuba Hubbard and Deonta Foreman. Foreman got a little bit more work and went over 100 yards again. He's just a grinder that I like a lot. I've got him on some dynasty teams because he was free. But the Broncos, man, it was nothing. I mean, Latavius had a long run, which padded his stats, which is great because he was the only real running back that they used. Dolchich had a touchdown that got called back. The Broncos are throwing to guys I haven't even heard of. And I know most of the players in the league, and I'm like, who? And Russ, man, it's going to be this could go down as the worst trade in NFL history.
So for me, I actually saw hope in Russ today. He threw like a 60-yard bomb. It was a nice
Well, it
throw.
took like 3 hours to come down. It's
But
like
he's not throwing the DK Metcalf who's 6'4", 230. He's throwing to a guy that pass was to somebody who's 5'10", literally 175 pounds, and he's expecting them to go up and get it. No, maybe if it was Sutton that he would have caught that, but they're
Tim Patrick would have caught it.
Tim Patrick, they're missing him. They're missing Judy.
Hamler.
They are missing Hamler. They're missing all their weapons. They're missing their first-round pick.
Javonte, obviously.
They're missing their first-round pick, which looks to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a year in waiting. If you can go out and buy Russ, I think I would, because I did see some promising things.
Would you
today.
pay a second? You think you can get him for a second?
100%. He's a starting quarterback that is locked in as a starter. They
can't move on from him.
He's going nowhere for like 3 years. They are stuck with him. So honestly, I think my personal opinion is Hackett is a big issue. This offense isn't working, and you're trying to stick a square peg into a round hole. You've got so many players, the most players on IR, so it's not completely your fault. I think Javonte coming back next week will help. I actually bought Javonte. I gave Ramondre for Javonte plus some picks
a lot of A's.
and another player. I still believe in Javonte despite the injury. It's going to take some time for him to come back, but for me, like guys like that, like Dobbins right now, huge buy. Javonte, huge buy. Breece Hall, massive buy, but Breece Hall is going to be harder to get because the age and the injury is not quite as in depth as these other guys. But yeah, Denver, I think brighter days will be ahead, but it's not going to be till 2023.
Yeah. Let's get on to the next game. This was a fun one. Maybe I'd put this in contention for game of the day. There was some really good ones. The Jaguars come back late in the fourth and beat the Ravens 28-27. Now, I was watching this with some friends of mine, and they were kind of doo-dooing on Trevor Lawrence as he took some sacks and made some bad plays. 29-37, 321-3. That last drive was NFL stud quarterback material. He was dropping dimes left and right. He hit Marvin Jones on that beautiful touchdown in the side of the end zone. He looked like what we've all thought Trevor Lawrence could be on that drive. If he's consistent like that, I want it. I'm all about it. And, Travis Etienne got hurt early in this one. He said that he's going to be good to go next week. It looked like an ankle injury. Jermichael Hasty stepped in. Darrell Henderson was released by the Rams this week. The Jags picked him up. He was inactive, probably learning the playbook and whatnot. I liked how Jermichael Hasty looked in the passing game, and he was running kind of hard and nasty. I liked Hasty when he was with the Niners, too. So that's a situation, if Hasty's a guy that's available in your Dynasty leagues, go and grab him because he's looking like the backup right now to Travis Etienne. Could have been a huge day for Etienne. It wasn't, and that's okay. But it was a huge game for Zay Jones. It's been Christian Kirk lately, but Zay Jones, 11 receptions for $145, leading the way. Kirk was a little quiet until the fourth quarter. He started to put some things together. But this Ravens offense,
gross, hard to watch.
Very. Gus Edwards returned and had a touchdown, which was nice. Lamar was They don't have, outside of Andrews, they don't have pass catchers they can rely on. Yeah,
they need J.K. Dobbins back. That's the first thing I noticed. They need a running back that teams are actually scared of. Gus has lost a step. Like I'm sorry to say it.
They phased out Kenyon Drake. He did nothing.
Yeah, Gus does not look like he used to. He's not running as hard as he used to. He's falling easier. And, I mean, if you're throwing to all tight ends, that's not going to do it. Hey, I get it worked with Michael Vick and LG
Josh
Crumpler.
Oliver revenge game.
Yes, and I get it worked with Mike Vick, LG Crumpler, and it worked with Andrews for a while. But you need more. You need more. Brian Finneran ain't going to come back out of retirement and become your wide receiver one. I knew you'd like that callback. So no. Greg Roman needs to get his shit together because Lamar isn't going to want to play for this team. He needs a receiver. He needs weapons. And he's struggling. Like, he needs a running back that people are actually going to bite off the play action read. They need somebody. And Dobbins, I think, will come back and help.
Yeah, even Justice Hill. I mean, he's injured. He would have been a nice change of pace to have some juice in the game, but
and Etienne, it's a running back, so of course I'm never if you could have sold high, I would have. And Trevor Lawrence, he is still around top 6-7 quarterback for me in Dynasty. I love Trevor Lawrence. And Zay Jones, is he Robert Woods 2.0? I mean,
maybe he leaves Buffalo. He's a second round pick.
Yeah, he looks like he plays exactly like him. Just finds the open gap in the zone.
He's a smart player. He's a really smart player
and open. And yeah, Kirk had a rough game, and Yeah, like Trevor Lawrence is pretty much all you care about. They're projected right now to draft a receiver, which he needs. He needs a big body receiver.
Why do they need to draft one? They have Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. But
they don't need to draft a receiver.
They need a big body guy, like the replacement for Marvin Jones. Maybe later in the draft, a guy like 6'3", fast, can go up and get the ball. They need somebody like that, which Trevor Lawrence had a
you say those things, and all I think of is that the Falcons released Bryan Edwards this week. And
Gross.
I'm sad.
No, for me, like Trevor Lawrence, they went back and looked at his college production. Like he had Justin Ross, he had T. Higgins, he had some tall receivers that could go up and get the ball at the high point, and he doesn't have that right now. He has a lot of small guys that he needs to get the ball at quickly, but it's working. I mean, me personally, I'd rather have, like, after seeing this game, I think I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence over Lamar Jackson long term, because Lamar Jackson, the way he's playing. There's a couple times he got hit, and I'm like, ugh.
He just tweeted at somebody that tweeted at him, and I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna say that to somebody? Not a good look. Go look up his tweet if he hasn't deleted it. Yikes!
I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, NFL players shouldn't tell people to go eat things and whatnot. So yeah, it was not very well composed.
Is the classic 20-year-old comeback?
A frustrated, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was a fun game. And do yourself a favor. A treat. Go watch that last drive from Trevor Lawrence.
It's special.
That's all I'm going to say. It was,
and that's the thing. Like, people talk about, like, Tom Brady. Yeah, you can struggle throughout the game, but when you need it most, the elite quarterbacks can take over a game, and he did that today against a defense. It was beautiful against a defense that, yeah, it may not be as good as it was in the years past, but it's still very good, and he did that.
Yeah, it was a beautiful drive. I highly recommend. All right, let's move on to some of the beautiful Peter. I'm a pediatrician. You're sitting in the desk. All right, let's move on to some of the 4:00 games. This one is an exciting one. The Chargers actually won a close game. Can you believe it? 25-24.
They went for 2.
Yeah, they went for 2 and won the game. And the Jaguars did as well, because they got the 2-point conversion to Zay Jones. I think this is the first time ever we've had 2 games where there's been a 2-point conversion to win the game in the same day. So that's pretty special. But Chargers win 25-24 over the Cardinals. The Cardinals were at home, so of course they lost. They're 1-6 there this year, and I think they only won like 3 games last year.
Fire Cliff.
Bye-bye. Herbert has a nice game. Threw the ball 47 times. Eckler continues to lead the way with 11 receptions. You know, Palmer was starting for a lot of you, and he had a kind of a quiet day.
He looks like he's stepping up.
He's
definitely playing more with the mindset of, like, hey, I'm a good player and I can play like that. Like, that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, Keenan Allen had a would-be touchdown, which was an awesome catch, but he didn't get the other foot in. Keenan Allen's great. He's going to be a volume guy. He's not going to have explosive plays. On the other side of the ball, we saw James Conner. He's been a smash play lately. 25 carries. He did some work in the passing game. He had over 100. I think he had 150 total yards in this game. Had a touchdown as well from Kyler Murray. Kyler looked good on his first game back in 2 weeks from his hamstring injury. And then DeAndre Hopkins, 4 for 87 and a touchdown. He got the touchdown early and didn't do a lot after that. And then Hollywood Brown came back this week. There was no Rondale Moore, no Greg Dortch, no Zach Ertz. So it's pretty much Hopkins and Hollywood in this passing game. Yeah, for me, it's James. If James Conner is someone that you can trade for, he could help you win your league because you're not going to have to spend up for him because people aren't really on James Conner in Dynasty. But his usage over the last 3 weeks, he's on the field 90+% of the time for the Cardinals, and he's producing.
Yeah, I just don't like the Cardinals. Of course I don't like Cliff. He just seems like he's an incompetent coach. I don't disagree.
Could
you imagine Kyler Murray with a good coach? Say he had a guy like Kyle Shanahan who would be like, okay, we're gonna bring you out and do these things. Use Debo. Wow, like Kyler would be an insane fantasy quarterback, but he doesn't have that. He's got Cliff, who's like, well, if we just get you a 3-step drop and you just pass it to Hopkins or hand it off 25 times to Connor, like. You've got this amazing athlete at quarterback, and you are misusing him completely. It's hard to watch.
How about trading for Robbie Anderson and not using him at all?
Yeah, they almost he had an incident on the sideline, in his own sideline again. I think it was 2 weeks ago, where it was like, okay, Robbie could be gone, but nope, you can't get rid of him after you give up picks. It was like a 6th-round pick. Or
it wasn't a lot, but still, when you trade for a player and then you don't really use him, like why? I don't know. It just seems like mismanagement on
Yeah, and
on all
I'm
accounts.
nervous. I'm nervous about Rondale Moore's usage when he comes back because now they've got the full squad without Ertz, but they've got this target pie. Like he only threw 29 times?
29, 18 to 29, yeah.
Yeah, that's not enough.
They ran the ball 34 times.
Yeah, that's not enough passing attempts for a big enough pie for all these guys to eat.
You like DeAndre Carter and his 10 targets? He's
No.
looked good when he gets the ball, though.
Yeah, he's a 29-year-old, so
I
I'm
know.
not going to go out and try to acquire him.
No.
They're a team that I think are going to be in on a receiver for sure, 100%. Like a guy like I would like to see him get a speed guy, but I could see them going with a guy.
Yeah, I mean, they had Guyton, who was kind of their speed guy, and he's done for the year.
Yeah, like Ohio State has a guy that Jackson Njigba that everybody was hyped about that just destroyed in the championship game last year. He's more of a Juju Smith-Schuster type player, so I just feel like they're going to go out and get somebody like that later in the first, and then they're back to what they usually do, just short passing, and then Mike Williams is the guy who plays 8 games, gets hurt because he jumps up for a ball and just sacrifices himself.
Yeah, the Chargers only ran the ball 13 times, but Eckler had 15 targets and caught 11 of them for 60 and a touchdown.
Eckler gonna
Eckler. Yeah, I'll tell you. He was throwing in a Dynasty trade once, and I sent him to you, I think. Yeah, that was dumb.
Who would have thought, though? Like, who knows?
Right. I picked him up as a free agent in the UDPL, and I was like, you want Eckler? Sure. Yeah, exactly.
It's a running back. Hey, I would like to give a shout-out to Cecil Lammey and Sigma Bloom on that one, because Cecil Lammey was nonstop talking about Eckler and how he wished the Broncos would have actually kept him in state because he's from Colorado.
Mm-hmm. What are you going to do, right? All right, let's move on to the next game. This was a super fun one. It was the Raiders and Seahawks. This game went to overtime, and for only, I think, the 9th time in NFL history did a player go over 300 yards from scrimmage. And if I were to say, who is this player, Josh Jacobs might be the guy that you might mention like 3rd or 4th. 33 carries, which is amazing. 229 yards, including an 86-yard walk-off touchdown in overtime. And I got to tell you, watching Josh Jacobs run the football today was a delight. He was running. I said it during the game as I was watching it. I was like, he's running his balls off today. Like he was breaking tackles. He was looking like that 101 Dynasty pick where he was in his draft class. It was him or David Montgomery, right? For most people. And Jacobs, free agent year, he wants to get paid. 6 receptions for 74 yards.
He's getting paid.
Yeah, Jacobs is making. The Raiders might have been stupid not to pick up his 5th-year option.
They were smart and dumb. They were dumb not picking up it. They were smart not picking his 5th-year option. But guess what? He actually goes back and says him playing in the Hall of Fame game put his whole entire career into perspective. Like his mindset changed after that.
Yep.
It changed everything he did. And I mean, we all laughed at it. We're like, why are you guys playing him on the Hall of Fame game? But look, here we are now. And he's
39 touches.
Nuts.
39. That is old school, like Sean Alexander. I remember he used to get like they just touched the ball. So just crazy. Devontae Adams has a quiet game on 11 targets, 7 for 74. Derek Carr did get hurt in this one, but then it ended up coming back. My boy Foster Moreau got a touchdown. Shout out to him. For Seattle, though, DK led the way with 15 targets, only 90 yards on 11 catches, which is a little disappointing. Lockett had a long one for a touchdown, which was nice. And then Ken Walker. Now, 2 weeks in a row, we've seen Ken Walker struggle a little bit from a yards per carry perspective. And I don't put a ton of weight into yards per carry. But in the last 2 weeks, he's averaged about 2 yards a carry. Luckily, got 2 touchdowns in this one. And one of them was a Marshawn Lynchian man run, where he helped to get pushed in, but he's just kept his legs moving and grinding. That's why we love Ken Walker. I'm not worried about Kenneth Walker. This was a smash spot for him. I thought he would get like 100 yards plus rushing in this game. Just didn't happen, and that's okay. But he scored you 2 touchdowns to save your fantasy day, which is great. I'm not worried about Walker at all. But the story of this one, far and away, is Josh freaking Jacobs.
It's his week, so we'll give him his week. It's in the title, the week of Josh Jacobs. Here you are. I mean, there's a lot of people telling you to fade Josh Jacobs. He's in McDaniels. For the whole entire season, I was saying, like, hey, I love Josh Jacobs. I think he's a hell of a runner. I just wish he got the touches. And here's what happens when you give a very talented player all these touches. Like Gruden Mayock hit this pick. Good job. You got one right. You did it.
Other than that,
And he's
Max Crosby. They got Max Crosby.
He's definitely going to get paid, and I think he is staying a Raider.
Yeah, I would. He just the way that he's been running the football, he's looked awesome the last 5-6 weeks.
He's a top and of course, if you have him and you can sell him for top 5 price, he's out. He's a running back.
Yes, as we know. All right, let's move on to the Chiefs and Rams. I thought this one would be like an epic blowout by the Chiefs, but it was pretty close for a while. The big injury news from this one, obviously Matt Stafford not playing with the head issues. He might not come back and play this year at all. The Rams are 3-8. Allen Robinson just announced after the game, McVay said that he's going to have surgery and he's out for the year. Cooper Kupp, he ain't coming back. They're not going to activate him. He's gone for the year. Tyler Higbee does nothing. He has no receptions in this game.
He's hurt personally for the year.
Yeah, Van Jefferson gets a meaningless touchdown from the new quarterback Hopkins. Cam Akers here's the thing. You're not going to start any Rams unless you absolutely have to because you've got injuries or buys. Just avoid all the Rams. The offensive line's bad. They're not playing for this year. Just avoid. They
don't even have their first round pick. The Lions have their pick.
For the next 17 years, it
so
feels like.
Think of this. The Lions pick is better than the Rams, and they have both. They could have 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah.
The Lions.
It's insane. Be interesting to see what they do with that. And then the Chiefs, Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's done. He's on IR. I think they cut him in the offseason. Why are you going to keep him around? You got a rookie making 7th-round money that looks more explosive. He had 22 carries for a very nice 69 yards today and a touchdown.
Clyde would look good in Atlanta. I mean, if Caleb Huntley can look like that,
he had a carry today, Huntley, where he was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, and I think Clyde could do well in Atlanta, just the way their system is.
I think Clyde's done. We saw Rojo get some fantasy points today. Welcome back, my friend. Rojo, I love you. Mahomes has a very Mahomesian game.
You're a big JoJo fan.
Yes. 300 yards, only a single touchdown, which was to Kelsey. Kelsey a little quiet, 4 for 57 and a touchdown. Juju didn't do much. MVS had a couple of nice catches. Sky Moore, I don't know. They're spreading the ball around too much for Kansas City outside of Kelsey. So there was no real difference makers for the Chiefs today. But Pacheco with that workload, and he looks explosive at times. He always just looks a little small to me. But we know that can work in the NFL, so I'm not too worried about his size. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy going forward and into next year, because on a team like the Chiefs, which is top heavy with quarterback money, they need cheap starters at positions. And guess what? Running back is one that you can definitely ride out for cheap. So Tyler, anything on this game?
Sky Moore, your time is running out to buy him. I wasn't a massive fan, but he's getting more and more involved, even with Juju back. Yeah, I think Sky Moore is a big buy. He did fumble today, and it's because they're trying to get him on.
Not the first time it's happened. I think this is the second or third one.
He shouldn't be doing the kick and punt return. He's fumbled a ton this year on that. Just keep my receiver. That's all you got to do. Get his confidence up because he's playing very well at receiver. And the more the season goes, I think he gets better. Yeah, on the Rams side, they want Kyron Williams to do more so much. They want him to be the guy so much, but he's just not the body type to do so. The Rams, like you said, just put them in a body bag. They're done.
The worst.
And Kelsey was Kelsey was covered by Jalen Ramsey, who was trying to revive his own career this season because he's been toasted so much.
Rams are going to have to trade some of those pieces to get picks back. It'll be interesting to see how they approach it.
The issue is Aaron Donald might retire. Like, he could be done, and they don't have that piece to trade. Like, that could be an issue. But his salary will come off the books, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
That would be a plus for them because they need salary help as well.
Yes, let's get to the next game. This isn't a super exciting one either. The Niners won 13-0 over the Saints. Alvin Kamara lost 2 fumbles. He ended up with 4 fantasy points for you. Thanks, Alvin. Really appreciate it. Coming up like a chipmunk, if you know what I'm saying. The Saints offense, Olave had a deep catch. Nothing going on for the Saints. Dalton, they still won't pull him for Jameis. I don't know why. It's annoying.
He looks so bad. He holds his offense back.
Elijah Mitchell, it looks like he got hurt, MCL injury again. He had 7 carries for 35. He did have a touchdown get called back. My boy Juwan Jennings with a touchdown. Love that dude. Brandon Ayuk.
Debo got hurt.
Debo did get hurt. McCaffrey was banged up. So the Niners did suffer some injuries in this one. Ayuk continues to be consistent. He didn't score, but he had 5 for 65. He's been over 60 yards now for the last 5 or 6 weeks and making plays for them. So, Yeah, interesting. This was just a snooze fest.
This offense needs Trey Lance.
Kittle,
I was thinking about that. I'm like, this offense needs a guy like Trey Lance, a guy who can, if nothing's working, can make something out of nothing. Jimmy G sits back there, and
he's a statue.
He does nothing. Like, he's smart. He's a player that's smart with the ball, and if you have a good defense, can win you games. But if that defense was not great, Jimmy G is going to lose a lot of games because he doesn't help that team. Trey Lance can actually like push this team forward to a next level, and I'm really liking him as a buy. There's just something about Trey Lance that I think is just going to really push this offense forward. They said he's progressing through the ankle injury. They said that this week, and that he should be good to go for next season. And all fingers are pointing towards Jimmy G going somewhere else, New York Jets, where he knows the system and he knows the Robert Saleh and what's his name, LaFleur, the offensive coordinator.
Peter
LaFleur, yeah, his brother. For me, I really like Trey Lance, and the thought of him in this offense with all these playmakers, especially CMC, is going to help so much. And
yeah.
I'm excited for his future. And despite people poo-pooing on him and be like, "Oh, he's done. He's ankle." No, like
he's my most heavily rostered QB in Dynasty. So
he's a guy that if you have a first-round pick, a later first, and you're set, your whole entire roster's set, he's somebody that I would be like, all right, let's chip this first out for a quarterback, and let's go for that upside.
Yeah, I like that. He's a top 3 pick. I don't think they're going to just poo-poo it, even if Jimmy Garoppolo gets them deep in the playoffs and, heck, even wins them a Super Bowl. And if they win the Super Bowl, maybe what they'll do is they'll go on TrophySmack.com and just buy belts or, anything that they want, because they've got football championships on there, baseball, basketball, hockey, you name it, they've got it, and they can customize it on TrophySmack.com. A little bit of everything. They have stuff for the losers in the league, too. You got that nice little, toilet seat trophy, all the things you want to get for your league, no matter what sport that you play. You can go on TrophySmack.com, use code DHHRing, and get a free $60 value championship ring as well. Heavy-duty quality. It's not cheap. Tyler has one to commemorate our beautiful victory last year in our Trade Addicts League. And hopefully we win it again this year, although we're a little bit of struggle bus right now, but we'll be all right. We'll be all right. I'm not too worried. Kamara, I hate you. Anywho, so yes, check out Trophy Smack. Use code DHHRing. Tyler, you got anything else to throw out there before we wrap this thing up?
No, not really. Packers and Eagles game is pretty good. I'll probably go see what the end of that has in store. But other than that, everybody stay healthy. And I'm starting to look into that 23 class a little more each and every day.
There you go. Oh, did you make any trades this week?
I did not. I don't think I did.
I made a trade.
I mean, we traded a 24-second for Gesicki. We didn't start him, but it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Yeah. I'm hoping, again, that play for that is like hoping he goes somewhere as a free agent.
Yes.
Can be more of a featured piece in the offense because he's just not a fit for the Dolphins.
Correct.
Durham Smythe sniping the touchdowns today. Thanks, buddy. Jerk face. I traded for T. Higgins this week in my home Dynasty league. I've got the best record. I've got the most points. So I'm like, well, my late first, it'll be, a 1-10-12 probably. So I went to the T. Higgins owner. He said, everything's for sale. I said, okay, let's kick some tires on
an estate sale. Nice.
So I offered up my 2023 first, Curtis Samuel, and a defensive player, because it is an IDP league, a solid defensive player, if I remember correctly. Was it? I can't remember. So I threw it out there, and he accepted it. I was very, very happy. So now my wide receiver core for the next at least couple of years, this is a contract year league. So I have T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Juju Smith-Schuster. So I'm 5 deep at receiver. I'm feeling good about that. So it's a play for now, but also a play for the future because I can extend T. Higgins for 5 years. It's always part of the play as well. It's one of those La Liga Lebowski type of formats that you might hear about with Christopher Harris, who was one of the first people I heard talk about that type of format. And Tyler and I play in one as well with IDP, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, made that trade. Feel really good about it today, especially with T popping off, and I did have him in my starting lineup. So yeah, so I love me. I sold off one of my shares to Tyler of T Higgins, and now I got one back in another league, so I can be whole again. Is what I'm saying. Because DeAndre Swift, you ain't popping off for me yet, buddy. But maybe that second round pick ends up being the difference maker. We'll see with DeAndre Swift. But yeah, that's all I got this week. Make sure you check out our beautiful, beautiful sponsors. Manscaped, use code DHH on there, as well as Trophy Smack, use code DHH Ring. Our friends over at Dynasty Nerds, Rich and the gang, check them out. They've got extra Nerd Herd episodes, all sorts of extra content. You can use code DHH over there as well and get 15% off a subscription. One of the best Dynasty sites you'll ever see. So make sure you check out the Nerds. And then also, if you're looking for some new threads, whether it's a sweatshirt, it's a hoodie, it's a hat, it's a shirt, you can go on Verdi and Global, search Dynasty Happy Hour, and we've got all the things that you might need there as well. For Tyler, I'm Doug. We will see you next week on the Dynasty Happy Hour.